the GAB Talks by the Independent Press Award. I'm your hostess, Gabby Olzak. To participate in the 2024 Book Award competitions, please visit independentpressaward.com and nycbigbookaward.com. We're so fortunate that Michael Dow, author of Nurse Florence Children's Educational Series, is speaking with the GAB Talks for the third time. Nurse Florence was the 2023 and 2024 winner of the Independent Press Award for the Best Educational Series. Last time we spoke with Michael, there were 25 titles, which are designed to promote health literacy. Currently, there are 40 Nurse Florence titles, many of which have won multiple awards and all of which promote diversity and literacy. Michael served in the U.S. Air Force for 8 years and then spent another 8 years as an Army Wounded Warrior advocate. He received his RN degree in 2020 from the University of Arizona. Book 1 of Nurse Florence, Help I'm Bleeding, debuted the same week. When he isn't writing and managing Dow Creative Enterprises, Michael works as an RN at an inpatient psychiatric hospital. He joins us from Arizona, where he resides with his wife, Perla, and his 3 children. Congratulations, Michael, and thank you so much for joining the GAB Talks once again.
Thanks, Gabby, for having me. Great to be here.
Wow, Michael, you've been real busy since last we met. You published 174 titles last year, 40 Nurse Florence titles. You have coloring books, books for visually impaired, Spanish and French translations, and I discovered an animated video book. Tell us a little bit more about the Nurse Florence empire, if you will.
Well, we do envision an animated TV series that we hope to partner with somebody like Netflix, which we did book number 11 that you can find a link on our website, www.nurseflorence.org. And it's word for word of the book, and the images are taken totally directly from the book, and our contractor converted all of the images into a 2D animation. They did a great job, and it's only about 4 or 5 minutes long. So we just see great potential with an animated TV series. We eventually want to do a live action movie series. We want to have dolls. We have trademarks around the world already, not just of Nurse Florence, but Infirmera Florence, which is a Spanish, and Infirmier Florence, which is a French. So this thing could be very, very big, and we're just excited where this could take us.
Well, this thing, as you call it, is already really big and so inspirational. Michael, you've spent your life serving others, and thank you for that, beginning with your 8 years of military service and now as a registered nurse. Nurse Florence series promotes medical and mental health literacy, targeting children 7 to 12 years old. What, for those of our listeners who are not familiar with Nurse Florence, what's the basic premise of the series, and what was your motivation for writing it? And if, Michael, you have a copy of one, can you just hold it up for our viewers?
Yeah, here's Nurse Florence, what is type 1 diabetes,
Okay.
which is
What was
one of
your
our longest.
motivation?
Yeah. When COVID hit and my kids transitioned to online learning, I was very concerned about their science education because, the teachers are having to spend a lot of time just getting the kids to focus on just the basic instructions, over the internet on the video. So I thought, well, what if I wrote a science book and my kids had to read it because I wrote it? So that was like why I did the first book, and I submitted it to some book award programs just to see, because I thought this is like a cool idea, like a health book series. So that first book did win an award with another program, and I thought, well, maybe I have a gift for writing for kids. So I did a couple more, and then my niece, who was doing the illustration, she wanted to like focus on being a senior in high school and not like really worried about drawing every weekend. So then I thought, well, shoot, I'm going to be 80 years old and this project is not going to be completed. so I better start recruiting illustrators. So I started advertisements to recruit more illustrators. And actually now we have about 63 illustrators on the project. And it's just amazing, you know, the teamwork that we're doing to make this project a success.
In
Um,
fact, the illustrators, Michael, if I can interrupt you, it's fascinating, and I think that the Nurse Florence series, you use actual medical and scientific terms. You give real world solutions to diseases, prevention tips. But I think one of the most fascinating aspects of the series are the illustrations. And you have grandparents, you have high school students, you have doctors. It's from all walks of life. Why is this component so critical to the success of Nurse Florence?
well, it seems like we found the secret to keep families entertained with the book. You know, like for most parents, we have to watch Disney movies with our kids over and
Yes,
over again.
yes,
Sometimes the same movie many times.
yes.
So Disney found the secret to keep adults entertained, you know, so that they would be willing to watch it more than once. So so we think we have found that secret to keep adults entertained with the books, because we're getting reports from all over that parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles, as they're reading them with the kids, that they're walking away with their aha moment. You know, that, oh wow, I didn't know that. So we found a way with the illustrations as well, to complement the text, to keep everybody entertained, the whole family. This is like a community family thing that's going on, not just trying to educate fourth and fifth graders. So we're excited that we have an opportunity to increase the health literacy, of not just the country, but the world, because I think you did mention that we do have other editions of translations, and here's like a Spanish and a French. So so we're doing different translations because we want to help all the kids, you know, everywhere, because we do think we got something special going on.
So in addition to, and you definitely do have something special going on, sure. In addition to health literacy, Michael, personally, what do you hope to achieve with the Nurse Florence books?
Um, well,
What do
this
you
is
want to
actually,
inspire in these kids?
well, I do hope that a whole new generation of kids think about careers in the health sciences, not just being a nurse, but being a doctor, and you know, all the different things that you can do in medicine. We want to make learning science and health fun, which I just got back from a Read Across America trip in Phoenix, where I shared some books, and gave away some free books, to this elementary school in Phoenix, and that they were loving it. Almost all of them were loving it. So, you know, some of those that were struggling with like reading, you know, it was a little bit more challenging for them. But those that are good with reading, they were loving it. We actually are starting a new Nurse Florence line of books called Nurse Florence for Beginning Readers, and that will be for kindergarten to second grade. And I brought the pilot book, the first book, and I gave them away to the first grade class, and they loved it. And they actually, many of the kids after the reading, they're like, "Are there any more of these?"
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
so
And you're
we
doing
think.
parents a huge favor also, especially at that age, because children, particularly at that age, are so curious and they have so many questions. And I personally am not equipped to answer those questions. What is cancer, which is one of your books? Why and how do we sneeze? And you really break all of this down into serious topics, into very approachable jargon that we can all understand.
Yes, you know, there's a government study that says only 12% of Americans have proficient health literacy. So we think those are like the medical professionals, and their families. So we want all families to be have some proficiency in their health knowledge so that they can have those competent conversations with their provider, and they don't feel lost, or in the doctor's appointment, like not knowing what's really going on. So we want to educate all families on their medical struggles.
Well, we thank you for that. So I'd like to name some of your titles, Michael, and if you can hold
Okay.
up a few. You have How the Brain Works, What is Type 2 Diabetes? Which Nurse Florence is your favorite, and what are you most proud of? Hold up a
Uh,
few of those for us.
Well, I got some others here. What is pneumonia, and Nurse Florence? Why is my pee dark yellow? So,
Great questions, all of them. I've wondered about any of those.
so my favorite, I think, so far is the How Does the Brain Work book. Because I mean, the brain is amazing, and so that was a lot of fun for me to write. And then the images that Lindsay did, Lindsay Roberts, she did 12 Nurse Florence's last year.
Oh, wow.
Um, she did amazing work, but so that was probably the most fun to write, and that's actually the book that I gave away like 120 of them at that Phoenix High School,
Really?
Elementary School, sorry, to the fifth graders. But so yeah, that was a lot of fun. But
I have to ask because I'm sure our listeners are wondering the same. You work as an RN, you're a
yeah.
dad. How do you find the time to write all of these? You now have 40 Nurse Florence titles, and how do you do your research?
Well, I think if this thing like really takes off, I think this whole project is going to turn into a case study in a business textbook. Because
Yeah,
this
tell us
is
about
like,
that.
this is like, I mean, people at work, they're like, Michael, how are you doing this? Like,
Yes.
we know you're working like 5 or 6 12-hour shifts a week. Like, how are you even doing this? So my second master's degree was in health administration, and it was with this online university that I had to write like basically a short paper, like 2-page paper, like every week, or writing discussion posts every week. And so that was, I did that constantly without interruption for a little over 2 years. And I think that degree helped me get like very efficient with writing and researching, because I didn't have a lot of time. I was working full time, a family, doing that degree, a couple hours every night. So I didn't have a lot of time. I had to get really quick at what I was doing, uh,
Yeah.
to have good grades. Because of course, if I'm going to do it, I want to have good grades. But so so I think that was what helped me be so efficient with my research skills and my writing skills. But this is like a coping skill for me. My job is can be mentally draining sometimes, dealing with a lot of psychological issues at work, with helping patients, and then I got a family, and I got other things I got to do too. So yeah, just sitting down and doing the research or writing the book, and I listen to my Beethoven, and I just get in the zone, and it just flows, and it's just a lot of fun.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree, Michael, that today, more than any other period in the history of the world, kids have many issues to deal with. In fact, you've quoted this. According to the CDC, 42% of high school students said they feel persistently sad or hopeless. In response to that and this crisis that we're dealing with, Michael, you're launching a new educational series, Nurse Dorothea, which will be focusing on mental health issues. Tell us about that.
Well, first of all, I gotta say, I'm writing the Nurse Dorothea series not because me or my family have perfect mental health, but because we need like the material too. So Nurse Dorothea is in honor of Dorothea Dix. who this amazing woman in the early 1800s lobbied legislatures around the country to stop chaining people with schizophrenia in cages and things like that. And because of her, we have like the mental health system that we have. Like she initiated, the changes. She helped do that. So it's to honor her legacy. And the first Nurse Dorothea, I'm getting the proof copy in about 2 weeks. Is the title is Nurse Dorothea presents a comprehensive discussion on mental well-being. So a lot of research went into this, and I learned a lot. It was really fun to research and to write. This is going to be a first of its kind book because of how I just had the spark of this amazing thought of how to make this book interactive. So this Nurse Dorothea series is not just a book that you sit down and you read and 30 minutes later you got some cool ideas. The Nurse Dorothea series is an experience that you do with a small group of people. And I don't want to give too much of it away, but you got to get this book when it publishes at the end of May. Listeners out there, this is a first of its kind, and I'm really excited about it. The slogan, we have slogans for every book series we do. So for Nurse Florence, the slogan is introducing some medical words to kids in every book. So the slogan, the trademark for Nurse Dorothea will be if society wants something we have never had, we're going to have to do something that's never been done. So this book, no one has done anything like this that I am aware of. This is like, I'm just, I'm almost amazed at how I was able to like come up with this. I'm just telling you, just this amazing thought came and it just started flowing, and we're gonna have something special. You're gonna actually see this as a book award submission for the New York City Big Book Award for that series. We're gonna be submitting that later this year, but to you. But so you'll get to see it.
Wow.
But
I can't wait to see it. So will the visual format be similar to Nurse Florence with the diverse illustrations that you have?
So what we did is okay, Nurse Florence is unique that we have so many illustrators in so many styles and mediums. Now the future book series, which we have about 30 other book series planned. So Nurse Dorothea is number 2. We picked Lindsay Roberts, who did 12 Nurse Florence's last year in the 12 months. Yeah, basically one a month. It was 2 in December though. But again, she is an expert in Photoshop, and she's a retired AP high school art teacher who basically doesn't have to worry about finances for the most part. And she's got all this free time. Um, Sometimes, some days she does 5 drawings a day. I mean, it's just amazing her passion and her expertise and everything. So we assigned her to be the only illustrator for Nurse Dorothea. And then starting in May, we're going to start publishing 1 book a month. And she'll be devoted to that project for the next 4 or 5 years. There'll be about 50 or 60 books in that series. So she does do it all digitally with Photoshop, and it's going to be a classroom setting. There's about 22 students. It's like an after-school club that Nurse Dorothea teaches, and just the visual images are amazing that she did to really complement the text. So like, we think we hit a grand slam with Nurse Dorothea. That's why I can't wait for you to
I can't
get
wait
your
to. And
copy.
you're going to be covering depression, anxiety,
Yeah,
bipolar disorder, schizophrenia.
yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. I cannot wait to see it. I mean, that sounds fantastic. So Nurse Florence, you said that you're going to be starting your beginning reader books for K through 2nd grade in May.
Uh,
Sorry, next month, actually in April, you're starting
yeah,
that.
yeah, next month.
Okay. Nurse Dorothea is going to be in May,
Yeah.
the target. And you said you have several, I think you said 50 other series.
Well, we have about 30 other, we don't know, I'm always looking for the next Lindsay is what I'm telling the illustrators. Someone that has the passion for the projects and the company and stuff, and that can do the images relatively quick with high quality. Um, so I'm always looking for the next Lindsay to assign to the next series. So we've not assigned anybody to the future series yet. We're just waiting um, to find the right person, because it will be, a dedication they need, a commitment they need to make for the next 5 or so years, just to that one series that they could be assigned to. So basically, Gabby, you could be getting Book of War submissions for me for a very, very for the rest
It,
of my
it,
life,
it sounds
basically.
like it. So, Michael, when I was looking at your website, there were so many things that inspired me. But one thing that you said was that supporting the Nurse Florence series supports a movement for global health promotion and literacy. What's that all
Yeah.
about?
Well, okay, we think this could be a global phenomenon, Nurse Florence. We think, because we think families will buy all the disease books that affect their family, and then we think that libraries around the world will get a set for for their patrons and stuff like that. But so we can see that a possibility that Nurse Florence could spark, you know, a movement of just like wanting to read, to
A
sit down
global
and read a
movement.
book. Yeah, because we're doing many languages. Once we got the Infirmera Florence trademarked in the European Union, that's when we started the Spanish translations, which actually there is a good bit of difference in Latin American Spanish. I was surprised, but so
Yes, there is.
yeah, so we're gonna do, many languages. Uh I mean, we think this could like spark a movement of just like, the world, understanding how their body works better, understanding how to prevent diseases, if as long as they're not genetic and stuff like that. So we think Nurse Florence could potentially, help the world get to the next level of better health. We think. Who knows what the future has in store for all of us, but we think it Nurse Florence could play a part to leveling us up into better health.
Well, you're certainly in less than 4 years, you're off to a great start. It's been amazing. I mean, obviously, the impacts of the series has been tremendous, Michael. In addition to the numerous awards that you've won as a series and also the individual books, you've received accolades from parents, from readers. What is the most rewarding and inspiring feedback you've received thus far from Nurse Florence?
Um, the most surprising was towards the beginning of the project when we were getting the feedback on Goodreads.com that parents were like enjoying the books just as much as the kids, because they were learning things with the kids. So, I mean, that still is, you know, amazing and awesome to me that we found that little secret to success for this kids book series, that it's not just a kids book series, it's like a family book series kind of. So to me, that's one of the coolest things that I was not expecting when I first started writing the books. I was not writing thinking that like whole families were going to enjoy the books. I thought this was just only a elementary kid book, but
Well,
I
you
was
discovered
pleasantly
your own
surprised.
Disney secret sauce, didn't you?
Apparently I did.
Did. I love it.
It's
So,
amazing.
Michael, I also noticed that on your website that Nurse Florence books are now included in every comic books for kids shipment to hospitals around the country. Tell us about that.
Yeah, they reached out to us, Comic Book for Kids. They provide free books to kids in hospitals. Like usually comic books, something fun to read. But they reached out to us because some hospitals were reaching out to them saying, "Hey, how can we get Nurse Florence into these boxes that you're sending us?" So we think that's pretty cool. But um, but yeah, we're always looking for new partnerships and to expand and stuff like that. So we're happy about that.
What is your end goal for Nurse Florence?
Well, we're thinking for the number of books will be around 500 to cover all diseases, because as well as the rare ones. We think it'll be 500. We don't have it all like very detailed planned out, but this company we go week by week sometimes, how things are moving, but so yeah, we think it'll be around 500, but we're not sure, and we think we're going to get to about 100 illustrators. I'm getting like 4 college students a day, usually 4 a day, sometimes 1 or 2, but 1 to 4 a day applying to start working on this project. So
Wow.
this is, I don't know where this is all going. This is this is turning into something amazing. But
I think it has already turned into something amazing, Michael. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. So, okay, next month we're looking at the K through second grade books for Nurse Florence. In May, we cannot wait to see the Nurse Dorothea. Michael, all of your titles now can be purchased at Harvard University online bookstore, www.harvard.com. That's incredible.
yeah, we think that that's like a book award all by itself because Harvard's online
Yes.
bookstore, they're not Amazon or Books a Million. They don't have to sell every book in the world.
It's Harvard. Yeah, exactly.
Amazingness. They have like 30 pages of our books because there are so many. They every single Nurse Florence, all the translations, special editions, hardcover, paperback, everything is on there. So we I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Occasionally I go to their website and I'll like look at it as like, is this for real?
Well,
No, I can,
congratulations.
but
Huge accomplishment. Huge
well,
accomplishment.
well, we're not 100% surprised because we are like, you've seen a bunch of these books by now. You know how thorough we are in the
Yes.
books. So we're not 100% surprised that Harvard carries it, but it's still, it's all happening very quickly that we're just amazed that it did happen, 3 years into the project. So this is great.
It is great. So www.harvard.com for our listeners and viewers. Michael, how else can listeners find out more about you, Nurse Florence, Nurse Dorothea?
Listeners can go to www.dowcreativeenterprises.com to get to links to all the different book series.
Fantastic. Cannot wait. Michael, as always, it's so inspiring to chat with you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope we get to meet again. This is your hostess, Gabby Olzak of the GAB Talks. Next podcast, we'll meet with children's author Eddie Burke. Until next time, keep on reading.